skill that you can improve and work on and get better over time. So making a decision is an actual choice. And that's the first thing that you have to realize. At any moment, in any decision, you can choose. Am I going to address this, face this, make something happen, or am I going to ignore it? And are things going to stay as is? Your career, your profession, relationships, organizations, businesses are all based around decision making. So when you are approaching advancement, growth, trying to develop yourself or a business, you have to look and see what decisions are not being made. Where are you intentionally deciding to do nothing? Because nothing is a choice. You have to also understand nothing could be a good choice, but sometimes doing nothing is also a cop-out choice and maybe not necessarily a good choice. The best decision makers, the people who are most skilled at making decisions, understand that decision is not the same thing as an outcome. You can make a great decision and have a bad outcome. So your decision-making ability doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a certain outcome. Think about a good decision that you made last year, or something that you thought hard about and had a good outcome. So it probably wasn't something that you just decided spur of the moment very fast, but actually you took a few moments, you thought about it, you spent some time, and it just so happened to have a good outcome. Think about a decision that you made with good information at the right time and happened to be unlucky, had a bad outcome. On paper, you had everything that you needed, it was the right time, the circumstance seemed great, but something happened in a negative way. This is not about your decision. This is about whether or not you got lucky. So your decision is that moment that you think through, that you analyze and you judge what is in front of you at that time, and it doesn't have anything to do with whether or not you win or lose. If you take nothing else from this presentation, I want you to remember this, that there's a gap between good decisions and the lucky outcome. So before you even approach decision making, you have to separate attachment to what I want to happen, so that way in this moment I can make a better choice. So whether or not you decide to do something, whether or not you do nothing, that is a choice, that is an act. A good decision does not necessarily bring a good outcome. It could lead to a more likely outcome or the chances of having a better outcome, but it's not necessarily going to guarantee a great outcome. Being attached and really wanting a specific outcome doesn't make any choice easier to make or any outcome more likely to happen. The best decision makers have trained themselves to equally anticipate, to equally expect bad luck and good luck. People who are best at making decisions and analyze them and can take them in a kind of tension-free way, they know both options are on the table. The other term that I want you to write down, it's called sunk costs. Sunk cost means an investment or something that you've made that's contributed to the moment at hand, but guess what? It happened in the past. It's gone. And so I love this idea of it's like a gift from the old you to the today you. So whatever decision that you made yesterday, it was made by a previous version of you. And maybe it's valuable to who you are today. Great. So then you hang on to it and you take it. If it is not, you leave it, you walk away. And this is hard because we get attached, right? Emotions get involved with things. I'm going to give you a business example. So there's a Starbucks everywhere. You can get your coffee. They made an interesting choice. Starbucks decided to team up with this cafe and incorporate these baking items into their shops. And they spent a lot of money acquiring these products and acquiring this name and establishing this partnership. But they ultimately decided, even after spending all this money and all of this time and all of these resources, to close them. Lots of money lost, lots of stores closed, people out of jobs. And why? Because they saw that in the past, we saw this as an asset and we thought this was going to be a good idea and this was going to be great for our business. But actually right now, today, this is not going to work for us from a business perspective. This is not sustainable. This is not going to contribute to our growth, and this is not developing our company. So they took those sunk costs, which A lot of people, oh, I spent all that money and that money's gone, and the training and the hours that we've spent with these employees, they had to leave that and say that's a sunk cost. Actually, for us to go where we want to go, we have to leave it. Every decision that we make, it happens because of something. There's a change agent or a prompt that sparks it. That could be an offer, a job offer, a letter in the mail. It could be something that happens within your family. It could be a circumstance. It could be a challenge. It could be something completely unexpected. It could be something out of your control, like this pandemic. But decisions are usually prompted by a spark, forces you to look at and evaluate the situation at hand. We are at dinner with friends, and we're given this menu. So you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options. There's 6 options on the menu. Which one do you buy? So we're all there. We're all in the restaurant. We're sitting here together, and it's your turn to order. You're ordering for all of us. You're ordering for the table. So there are actual business studies about this and research studies about this. When you're faced with choices and when you're in the company of others, most people, most of the time, again, the average, we're looking at bell curves, go in the middle category. They don't want to go for the cheapest one, and they don't want to get the most expensive one. They'll land somewhere in the middle. This is called framing. And framing is also very important to understand when you're making choices, because framing is about the environment that you find yourself in. It's all about comparison. When we're making decisions, we're framing that problem, or we're framing that circumstance not with the right intention or not with the information that we need. And already we're setting ourselves up for making a bad decision because we haven't framed the problem in the right light. Let me show you what I mean. Which one are you gonna choose? Here's our new menu. And again, it's framing. It's about the environment that you see and the comparisons that you see. Should I go to college or spend 4 years doing something else? Do we stop selling our most popular product? Should I go abroad or do I stay here in Nepal? Do we close the business now? These are all decisions that we don't want to make. Why? Because of sunk costs and because of emotional attachment to that issue. When a decision is hard, it is because of we're thinking about everything else that has gone behind it. Oh, we spent 7 years building this business. Oh, but this product has been flying off the shelves for the last 6 months. All my friends are here in the community and I have some standing and everybody knows me. You're thinking about what has been, and the focus is on past instead of now and where you're trying to go. I want this to be a journal exercise for you guys. Take some time today and write about a good decision that you made that had a bad outcome. What made it a good decision even though it didn't have a good or a lucky ending? What made it a good decision at that time? And be curious and ask yourself why. A lot of times it's easier to make a decision for somebody else because the emotional attachment is removed from it. So when you're helping a friend or a colleague face something difficult, it's easier to anticipate and guide them because, again, emotions impact our own ability. When you're making choices and when you have these emotional constraints, you have to remember, what is this for? And define your success at that time. And what can help you do that? Decision trees. When you're starting to think about a decision, maybe I'm thinking this isn't my problem, but if I was counseling or helping a friend, what would they say? And you can start charting decision trees. And decision trees are pathways. So they're options. So I've given some simple decision trees here. We have, am I hungry on the left, right? So that's the problem, that's the question. And then you can see the option. And you can do this with problems of your own. Any problem that you have, you can think of so many different outcomes and solutions and options. When it comes to money, when it comes to businesses, when it comes to people, you can take this tree form and take the emotion out of it. So ultimately, what is a good decision? It's a bet, but we're investing time or money. So we're not really sure what's going to happen, but we have some information about what might happen. We also have beliefs. We have beliefs about what each outcome is worth. For rational decisions, you have to take that emotional component out, and the best thing that you can do is think about it as if it was affecting someone else, and you rank the outcomes. Only after you've done that can you make the best guess out of the odds that are at hand. Are you solving the right problem? Think about how you're defining success. What is the future that you want to create? What do you want to build here? And then take time to write it out. Think about the sunk costs. Think about the framework that you've buried and nestled your decision in. What are you measuring? And what are the anticipated costs of each outcome? And that's how you can move forward. Again, if you don't know where you're going, it's very hard to make decisions. So you have to know about your goals and the outcome that you want. Then when you do that, now you can think about your decision tree and you're writing every possible choice. And remember, quitting is always a choice. Sometimes quitting is an excellent option, an excellent decision. And I know we're taught, winners never quit, quitters never win. Sometimes it's a great choice. I know people who enrolled in master's degree programs, took out loans to go, even got scholarships, grants, and decided to quit because in the span of their career, that wasn't actually either the right time, the right moment, or wasn't getting them to where they wanted to go. So sometimes you don't get the 10 out of 10 when you're making a choice. You're not getting everything you want, but you're getting 6 out of 10. And what are those options? What are those 6 that you need for it to feel good, for it to be a good choice? You can think each option, what's the value? What's the probability of each thing happening? And now, how do I move forward? What's the best path? This is decision making. You've taken out emotion. You've gotten rid of that attachment to the results. You've been very clear about why you are making this decision. Who are you making it for? What you want to be proud of at the end of the day. And that's where the best decision making comes from. I'm hoping that, again, this can serve as a foundation for your own exploration. And the idea here is that you learn skills to help you in real life and business. So the more comfortable that you get with dealing with choices and the more comfortable that you get with sitting with uncertainty and taking that emotional aspect out of it, you'll get better at making decisions. When you have decisions that you're trying to choose between, and maybe things that we like equally, and how do you choose when they all look pretty good? What is actually the key point? What are you trying to achieve with this decision? And you're listing the options out, but ultimately, what do you need? Those are the issues that the decision is dependent on. For you to identify that, you have to go back to what is this decision that I'm making and why? If you're trying to choose between, do I stay at this job or get a promotion? What ultimately are you trying to do? Develop your career, make more money, get new experiences. And that is why the definition of what you're trying to accomplish is so important. You have to know, how do I define success? Because without your own personal, and this is not societal definition of success, this is not your parents' definition of success. Obviously, those weigh in on it, but without you fully understanding what is it going to take for me to feel good? What is it going to take for me to feel proud about what actually happens? You have to ask some questions. It can be helpful to set a stopwatch for 15 minutes and just use those 15 minutes to write about that decision that you're trying to make. Some people like writing bullet points. Other people want to write something more narrative, like a paragraph or a story. Winning may not always be scoring the highest, getting the promotion, or making the most money, or acquiring the most businesses. Winning sometimes could be walking away. Winning sometimes could be quitting. Defining what is the win, your success. There's no point in stressing yourself out over that decision, that question, if you don't know what is my win. Should I go abroad or stay in Nepal? What is the intention? Are you trying to develop professionally? Are you trying to get to further your self-education? Is it just about money? Is winning for you about the way that you're viewed in the world and society, your legacy, how people remember you when you're gone? So think about your win. So when you have to take a decision for your team, same thing. What are you trying to get? What's the win for your team? So sometimes we have to make decisions for other people. You still have to be aware of the way in which the decision is framed. You still have to be aware of your emotional connection to it. And you have to be aware of, how do you define success? How do you define good? And how do you define winning?